maintenant, gémissante, je pousse les roseaux, j'incline la canne, je me fraye un chemin obscur parmi les gens, je me dirige vers l'arbre crevé qui ne coule jamais, je suis tombée contre le feuillon de bois de la barque infernale. Je m'adresse aux ombres qui passent.
I'm Ben Finan, editor-in-chief of Listen, Life with Classical Music, and I'm speaking to composer Thierry Lancino, whose new Requiem will be released on Naxos Records shortly. We are speaking from Thierry's lovely studio here on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Your Requiem focuses on the Sibyl, which, coming from the Requiem text, Teste David cum Sibylla. So maybe you could both give us the context of that passage and also explain what a Sibyl is.
The Sibyl is an oracle. She is the mouse of the god in the antique time. And the one that I got interested in was the Sibyl of Cumes. She's the one who's really quoted in the Dies Irae, Dies Illa. She was cursed by Apollo. She is kind of tending to age toward death, but without reaching death. I cannot imagine something worse than getting older endlessly and not reach any point. And in the tradition, she begs for an ending. David asks for eternal life. He asks for eternal rest. So when I saw this confrontation, which is not explicit in the text, but which is contained by the text, David cum Sibylla, I thought that is absolutely the subject of my Requiem, and that it's all about divinity. It's all about humans who are looking.
Mes yeux fixés à terre, mon nom n'est plus qu'un chant qui veut mourir, mon corps n'est plus qu'un souffle qui voudrait s'expirer. Chaque fois qu'un fidèle pénétrait dans ma caverne, chaque fois qu'il demandait Sibylle, que veux-tu? Je lui répondais, homme, je veux mourir.
We should point out that you've given life to this paradox by making soloists within the Requiem of David and of the Sibyl.
It is not a traditional Requiem. It is a big epic about death, about life, and about time. And it needed to be expressed by the two parties. So the Sibyl was going to be the mezzo-soprano, who is sung beautifully by Nora Gubish. And she gets into this trance and she begs for annihilation. And David is a heroic tenor who is sung beautifully by Stuart Skelton. They expose their point of view and they fight over it. And the choir takes over like a Greek choir in the tradition of tragedies, if you want. Look at the scene and emphasize one side or the other, alternatively or together at the same time. Now I had two other characters which are kind of extension of the first character. The bass, which is sung by Nicolas Courjat beautifully, is the other side of David. He's the conqueror. And so there's this two sides of David that appears. Now on the other hand, there is a soprano, which is gorgeously sung by Heidi Grant Murphy. She's a human. She's a human dimension, the human suffering.
So you had a partner for unfolding this drama. The librettist was Pascal Quignard, who English-speaking audiences may still be familiar with his work because he wrote the book for Tous les matins du monde, which was a very successful film worldwide.
When I thought of this Requiem, I immediately thought that he would be the perfect person with all the talent to do something so difficult, which is to change a form that is so solidly expressed for 700 years and to do something different and question it. It was obvious we were on the same track.
So traveling from the words to the music, maybe you could talk a bit about where musically this work resides in terms of its aesthetic.
It's impressive at the beginning when you start working on such a thing that has such a heavy load of history. It was obvious for me that this two side would bring a dynamic that has to be reflected by the music. So the music has also two sides. And it is this dynamic that I was interested in. I kept the same big chapter of the 5 parts of the Mass. But the text of Quignard comes and disturbs this order. Musically, that led me to thinking of ways that can be also acceptable for a large public. I think it's important that music speaks to a large public. I wanted also to move, which I think is one of the point of music, is to address a part of your brain which is pretty far inside and to reach it.
So in a way, you have moments in the Requiem where the musical language looks back and moments where it looks forward, and yet it all seems to gel together quite nicely.
I always managed to do what I really wanted to express, and I think most of the 13th part of the Requiem really fits nicely in what I want to do musically. And I would say that it doesn't turn its back to the 20th century, but you can see the 20th century a little backward, far away in the back. So it's moving forward. And you know, when you leave on a boat, when you leave the land, you see the harbor is becoming smaller and smaller, and that would be my 20th century there.